Yeah, all Flintlock had to do to start changing my mind on Anax was dropping some Phoenix. That's all it takes. I love a flying tribe.
Today on Commander Replay, we check out the mightiest of all cat warriors, Jedit Ojanen Mercenary. Next on Commander Replay. Hey guys, there's two great ways to support the channel. All links are in the description below.
Welcome back, everyone. Playing some Jedit Ojanen Mercenary today. And today's deck list comes to us from Patreon supporter Nate. Let's take a look at this opener. A lot of lands, but ramp is good. I do like ramp. I think we're just going to keep this and hope we draw into good cards. The land count in this deck is really low, so I don't think it's going to get better than this, right? So I think we should just keep this, and pretty good likelihood that we'll draw into some things that we need along the way. So, a couple interesting things about this commander. One, I just love the character of Jedit Ojanen. I just think the whole Cat Warrior thing is very cool. We actually played the vanilla Jedit Ojanen on the channel, and that was a very interesting game. 7 mana vanilla 4/4. Also, like, weirdly, they hadn't settled in on like color stuff yet, so it's blue-white and not green as you'd expect the Cat Warriors to be. Later, there was another Jedit Ojanen, I think in Planar Chaos, somewhere in the Time Spiral block. And that one's mono green. I do want to play that one. I haven't played it yet. That one also just looks like a good time, right? Just make a bunch of Cat Warriors. There's a Heuristic Study. Yeah, that's what you call a pretty good start here. So what are we doing? Let's go Forest, Untapped, Wild Growth. Yeah, that seems fine. Then we can go like Soul Ring Island, Heuristic Study next turn, which seems insane. But anyway, beyond all of that, Jedit Ojanen just looks like kind of a cool card. Let's take a read. Arcbond Slith coming into play for opponent. 3 mana for a 3/3. When it or another legendary creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay a green. If you do, make a 2/2 Cat Warrior. Love it with Forest Walk. Yeah, it just sounds like a good time. So Nate's got a legendary humans build, is what we're going to be piloting today. And took a look at the deck. Looks pretty solid. Nate is a very strong deck builder, so tends to play at a power level, usually a little bit above what we typically do on the channel. Nate does not hold back all that much, where myself and a lot of people typically do at least a little bit. Like you see a Tulane in here. Tulane is not a holding back kind of card. This is, I'm going to play my entire deck right now. But super low mana curve, stuff like that. Anyway, brings back to our turn. There's a Drannith Magistrate. That one's super nasty. Do we want to removal check the table? I think I want the card draw first, so let's get the island. I think we have a little time before we need to removal check the table. Get the Soul Ring. Get the Heuristic Study. And we'll pass like that. And now our concern is going to be getting white mana into play. Maybe we should have gone with that Temple Garden. I don't know that would have made a huge difference one way or the other. We'll see. There's an Anax Hardened in the Forge coming in. A commander that I always thought was like a little bit overhyped for what it is. It definitely showed up a decent amount when it first came out. And I'm just like, it's fine. It's cool. Like, as far as mono red things go, this one just doesn't get me that excited. There are some interesting things you can do with it for sure. Like getting those 1/1s are great Skull Clamp fodder. That is for sure. Having a little bit of board wipe protection is nice. Opponent does poke us for 2 right there. Yep. So maybe Drannith Magistrate right there would have saved a Anax from coming in, which would be good. Energy Chamber. Bet that's part of a combo. I forget what it is. It's been a while since I've seen any of that stuff, but we are drawing cards left and right here with the Heuristic Study. I can't appreciate that. Eternal Witness, not helpful right now, but definitely helpful later in the game. Slith over to D-Manny. It's going to be a stronger game, I think. Like I said, Nate's a pretty strong deck builder. D-Manny's piloting Ghoucaller Gisa, and he's worked on this deck a lot. It is kind of a nightmare. Like, if he's already got Urborg in play, if he drops Cabal Coffers, and then later Cabal Stronghold, like, he just makes... Also, he's got Nykthos in there, so, like, it is possible for him to just run away with mana and be, on, like, 15 mana on turn 6 or 7, and that's hard to deal with. That's real hard to deal with. Plague Bearer. Enters battlefield, put 2 minus counters on target creature you control. Whenever a zombie you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life. Kind of hate those effects, honestly. Like, they are kind of OP. Even worse that it's not damage, like all the white protection effects don't really help you from the life loss stuff. Don't like it. Gonna put the minus counters on the Gravecrawler. Seems like a good idea. They do have themselves a 5/4. Drannith Magistrate will shut down that Gravecrawler, at least for a little while. Also some commanders, most likely. Search for Glory is a magic card. I'm not sure what we're supposed to search up with it, quite honestly. What do we need to get our commander? We're hurting on the white manas. That's unfortunate. Play the Temple Garden untapped. Get the Drannith Magistrate. Do a little removal check at the table. Sadly, we don't really have a follow-up here because of our mana colors. That is disappointing. But another turn of Ristic Study. Hopefully we draw a few more cards, and by then, I think we've already drawn 3. You know, if we drew like 2 more, I feel very good about our chances. It's tough to say how things will play out, but like from a card advantage standpoint, right? Like if we lose, it won't be because of card advantage or lack thereof. Flamewake's Phoenix, spicy. Really want to make a Phoenix tribal deck. Tried it a couple of years ago, wasn't great. Could probably do a slightly better one now. Morphon wasn't a card yet. I want them to make like a couple more Phoenixes that are like a little more geared towards Commander. Honestly, just give me a really cool Phoenix tribal Commander. That's honestly what I want. Let's be honest, that's what I want. I don't know, whenever one comes in from the graveyard or something, do some impulse draw or something like that. I don't know. Or, no, you want to be cool? You put a Sunbird's Invocation effect on it. So, like, if you cast a Phoenix, you Sunbird's Invocate, essentially. That would be pretty interesting. And then throw some, like, Flying and Haste on there. Maybe a Reanimation ability. I could design cards at WotC. What's up? Energy Chamber doing stuff. Puts a counter on the Slith. Altar of the Brood is a magic card. Very helpful in combos. Altar of the Brood will actually help for our Eternal Witness a little bit. Because we have the Eternal Witness already, gives us a little bit of card advantage, which, not awful. Opponent does pay for the Ristic Study. Over to Flintlock. Yeah, Flintlock's got a nice little aggro board over there. We're going to need to think about getting some sort of blocking going. Pumps up the Slith, yeah. That's a Grave Pact. Ooh. Opponent pays for the Ristic Study also. So, that's gotta go. We don't have anything to shoot it with yet. Island is not what I was hoping for right there. Let's play the Misty, crack the Misty. Definitely need more white sources. What's this one? Oh, that's the Triome. I think we're going Hollowed Fountain untapped. So let's get our commander. It ETBs. We'll pay the green. We make a 2-2. Do we go for the Falconer? We'll go for the Search for Glory right here. With the amount of mana that we have, we could give up our commander. It's mostly just the Drannith Magistrate I'm trying to keep in play. It'll keep D-Manny off his commander for a while. What are we searching for? I couldn't afford Beside You, which is a legendary land, which we could be getting with this, which would help us shoot that Grave Pact. Thing's 45 tickets online, though. It's pretty gross. Gaia's Cradle's a magic card. Although, if there's a Grave Pact, Gaia's Cradle may not be the way to go. Frostfang is interesting. Chulane is interesting. Sisay is interesting. What's this one do? Draw cards. Thalia. Great Henge is very... Great Henge might be a winner. Oh, Urza's Ruinous Blast? That could be a winner also. Although, what do we lose? We lose Wild Growth, Soul Ring, Ristic Study, You know what? If it comes to that, we'll Eternal Witness it back. Yeah, normally I'd probably go for the Cradle, but what does this one do? 4 damage. I think the Great Henge is a smart play. Because since we caught a few more lands than we probably need, no attacks for us. We're still trying to get to the things that help us win the game. I know we could get Kamal with that, but we've got the Eternal Witness. Bloodmark Mentor. Red creatures have first strike. Yep. If that said haste, that would see a lot more play than it does. That would actually be a very good card. 2 mana Urabrask, basically. Goblin Bombardment is a magic card. We do get to draw. Draw is good. Another Plains. Wow, we are flooding. For a deck with 31 lands in it. That's why I went for the Great Henge. 2-2 over to D-Manny. Yep. We need forests. What cards make forests? Gaia's Liege? That one's not really very good, though. Need D-Manny to have forests. Pumping up the Slith. Yep. Ashnod's Transmogrant. Interesting card. I think the copy that I have was in Chronicles, I believe. Yeah, because the first one had to be, Antiquities? Card that's been in my collection forever and ever, and I remember seeing it a lot as a kid, and I just never really knew what to do with it, right? Because it's just like, +1/+1. Isn't that exciting? Maybe back then it kind of was, just because it was like, Sarah Angel and Sanger Vampire were kind of the common creatures you would have to face, right? And, I was on the Sanger Vampire plan usually, and, if you wanted to get through that Sarah Angel, +1/+1 may have been the way to do it. Wouldn't help you against the Shivan Dragon, though. Or would it? What is Shivan? 5/5? Yeah, it's 5/5. Yeah, you could trade. You could trade with it. That's the Slith coming our way. I think we're just taking that one. Trying to save a token or two here for the Grave Pact. Down to 27. Is there also a +1/+1 counter theme for this? Because we do have the Abzan Falconer, which seems interesting. I didn't see a +1/+1 counter theme. Not saying it's not in here. Oh, there's a Kazur. Okay. That's a Demonic Tutor. Alright. So, Demonic Tutor, one way or another, is probably getting something that's going to get Drannith Magistrate out of play. Whether that's a board wipe or whether it's a sack outlet, tough to say. But we do get to draw with the Ristic Study, thank God. Another land, oh my god. There's 31 lands in this deck. What? We're going to have to pay quite a bit for the Great Henge. It's not like we're playing Ghalta here. Our biggest creature's a 3/3. So, what is this thing, 9 mana? Yeah, we got to pay 6 for it. Still worth it, but honestly, it's just kind of busted when it's like anything less than 5. So, D-Manny's in the think tank for a little while. I'm sure he's trying to think deeply about what to get here. I mean, it might just be Deluge, give up on the Plague Belcher. If I were him, that's probably the play. That's a 6/6. That is a little bit of life. But yeah, that's probably the play that I would make. Now, what does happen is that this will spit out a bunch of 1/1s, and the 1/1s will give Flintlock really good protection from the Grave Pact. At least for a little while. Liliana of the Dark Realms. Okay. And then use the minus mode to kill the Magistrate. We do get to draw. Bolliged Recovery. Picking up all the late game stuff. Honestly, I wouldn't mind if opponent milled us more with the Altar of the Brood. Oh, they're stuck on 2 lands. That's their problem. That's why things aren't happening over there. Wow, goes for the Swamp? Not even shooting the Drannith Magistrate. What is he up to? Maybe just thinking he needs the lands, but... I mean, I guess he's kind of protected on the ground, just because if we attack into him, things start sacrificing, and that's not great. But boy, would I love to see a creature off the top here. Iganjo is interesting. It is, in fact, another land, though. Which is not at all what we needed. So, let's get the Great Henge in. How much is it? 6? Most of our mana. Let's cast the Falconer. Wow, we have 5 lands in hand. 6, actually. This one's kind of a land. Oi. Great Henge. Ooh, that enters with a +1/+1 counter. Yeah, that's a nice little combo there. There's a Toski. Toski is a sight for sore eyes. Now we're going to see what we actually untap with to our next turn. But, what land are we playing here? Maybe Windswept Heath, pull a land out of the deck. Yeah, we'll do that, and we'll just pull a land out at some point. Free attack into Xeno, who is open right now, so we'll just poke Xeno for 3. Goblin Bombardment targeting our face. What? Oh, because they start making thingies? Is that any creature? Or another non-token creature? Okay. Anax is cooler than I gave it credit for earlier in this video. Yeah, that's a nice little bit they're doing there. How about we shoot this Planeswalker, though? Or, like, do something about this Grave Pact before it annihilates us all. What's the... Oh, that... You know, that may actually be a solid Phoenix, Commander. Yeah, we got a Lightning Phoenix? Huh. Maybe that's the answer to Phoenix Tribal, because, like, half of them do come back from the graveyard. They have different conditions that allow them to do it, though. Which may be a little awkward, but... Flying Haste. At the beginning of your end step, if an opponent was dealt 3 damage, pay red, return it for the... That's a fairly easy one to get back. Some of them are harder than others. Creature power 4 or greater. That's also an easy one to get back. Got an army of little flyers over there. How about that? The Phoenix Eye. About to put some work in. May I recommend you attack the Liliana of the Dark Realms. Cool. And 1 over to Xeno. Yeah, all Flintlock had to do to start changing my mind on Anax was dropping some Phoenix. That's all it takes. I love a flying tribe. One does have a Flame Skull in the graveyard. Another interesting one. Can't block. Rejuvenation, when it dies, exile it. What do you do? Cascade a thing? Exile top card of your library, may play it until your next turn. Seems like it's probably really good in Standard, or at least I'm sure it was at some point. Maybe a little underwhelming for a typical Commander deck, but not awful. Red doesn't get a lot of like cheap flyers. Most red flying is dragons usually, so flying blocking in red is a nightmare. Which actually raises an interesting point. Of these Phoenixes, which of these could go in my Ashling deck because I need better blocking, especially in the air? Flamewake Phoenix doesn't sound terrible. Yeah, that maybe actually be a solid one. Oh, the Lightning Phoenix too. Huh. We may investigate these for Ashling. You love to see it. That is a decoction module, and we get to draw. That's an Elishnorn. Don't know how to feel about that. Gotta be careful. This is a situation where, like with Gravecrawler, they could use our Elishnorn as a sack outlet, and there's an Altar of the Brood trigger, thank God. Anything. We have 2 recursion cards in our hands, so just mill anything. It's a land, thank God. Oh my God. Really don't need another land. Gets a Ghost Quarter from D-Manny. Appreciate that. Got a 7/7. I mean, eventually we're going to find something to shoot that Grave Pact. And then after that, we need to worry about the Goblin Bombardment. Yep, 7/7 coming back our way. I think we're just going to throw the token under. Although, I really don't want to go to 21, especially with like life loss effects and stuff. Yeah, throw the token in front. Does expose our Drannith a little bit more. This thing is helpful to have around because it blocks the Phoenixes. I would prefer to not give that up. If we have to sacrifice only one, I'd probably go with our commander just because we get value by recasting it. That's a Vampiric Tutor into the Rhystic Study. Let's see what kind of tricks he's got now. God, I would love to see Altar of the Brood. Disrupt that. Swan Song is very interesting. If it were... it depends on what he casts. There are definitely a number of things he could be Vampiric Tutoring for that I would Swan Song. What does this one hit? It's enchantment, instant, or sorcery. Does not hit artifacts, so if it's an artifact sack outlet, that's a problem. Is he just going for the board wipe, though? Yes, he is. So we'll draw first. Actually, we should probably crack the fetch first so we don't, like, inadvertently draw. Ooh, we gotta hope there's a blue land still in here. See, the breeding pool's already gone. Crack this thing. There is not a blue land. That sucks. That sucks. Well, everything's getting blown up then. Get a forest, I guess. That is unfortunate. Definitely would have countered that. Yeah, for like all of the mana that we're making, our colors are horrendous right now. Back to the command zone. The good news is that was most of his turn. Like, we have so much mana that we should be able to do some pretty wild stuff. Flintlock, not in a terrible spot, getting a lot of things back after all that. Looks like they'll lose one into the Grave Pact, though. Yeah, Elesh Norn really doesn't make sense here. We got to deal with the Grave Pact before that's a thing, or exile the Gravecrawler somehow. Brings it back to our turn. Sylvan Library, also helpful here, I think. Get the island in. Seem to be hurting on blue mana. Get the Sylvan Library. Might actually be able to get to cards that matter. Get past all the lands. Cast our commander. We need a white, a blue, 2 colorless. Crap, we're going to be one short of Toski. Great Henge. I suppose we could have Eternal Witness the Drannith Magistrate back to play. That's the thing that we could have done. Yeah, I think we'll just pay for the ability here. Got one floating. I have no idea how we're going to use it. Aura Shards. I'm just going to hold that Aura Shards until next turn. Aura Shards gives us a great plan, though. Feel very good about that. That being the case, I think we just pass like that. Discard a land or two. Yeah, I think it's just going to be both basics. Purphoros. We should probably counter that. Yeah, we got to counter Purphoros. Purphoros will get us killed in a hurry. Plus, being indestructible, this ain't going to solve it. So, they do get a bird. Flawless Maneuver is helpful. Xeno not having a good time in the middle here. They very much need to find some mana. Turn 7, they've only found 2 lands. It's a bunch of 1/1s going into D-Manny. So if we drop the Aura Shards, I mean, dropping the Aura Shards is definitely correct. We probably become the threat. Like, Aura Shards plus Toski, or Eternal Witness plus Drannith Magistrate, probably makes us the threat. Opponent attacks, Phoenix Trigger, yeah. Yeah, maybe I do need to get these in my Ashling deck. Now, Ashling is the most mana-hungry thing imaginable. Even finding that extra 1 mana right there is probably going to be a headache. But having some cheap blockers, though, very exciting. Especially flying. Because, like, there's a couple dragons in the deck, like Balefire and maybe there's one other one I can't remember. I've got Magmatic Force and the Myojin in there right now, which... the new red Myojin, Roaring Blades, I think it is. Cool card. Solid card. Indestructible blocker and 3 pieces of removal waiting for you when you need it. It's pretty good. But anyway, this will help with the mana curve a lot, and probably a couple Phoenixes would make Mask of Memory an attractive option. Maybe go back a little bit more on the equipment plan. I had a lot of equipment in there, and then I tried to get away from it for a little while just because it's very fragile. Also, I have a lot of equipment decks, and I just wanted, like, a little bit of, just wanted a little different flavor to it, right? You're already going to run all the, like, Death Touch lifelink equipment with Ashling, so... Ghoucaller Gisa into play, triggers a Rhystic Study, probably recast the Gravecrawler. No, they just pay for the study. That's fine. We have layers of card draw now. Like, as long as we keep our permanents in play, we are on pace to just outvalue our opponents. I can't think of a good metaphor to end that thing. We're going to outvalue them like crazy. Another land! Didn't need that. Oh, thank God for Sylvan Library. Actually, we do need a land drop because we got the 2. Definitely want to use these for Land Smothering Tithe. There is a blue deck at the table. Put this one back on top. We're just paying life. Let's just pay life and get through all these things. Play the Cavern. Naming Humans. Play the Aura Shards. Cast Toski. Seem to be out of blue cards. Can spend the blue mana. Aura Shards definitely shooting the Grave Pact. Great Henge and Jedit Ojanen trigger. Tap this for double green. Gives us another Aura Shards. We'll use that on the Goblin Bombardment because that can be pretty scary. Going to shoot our commander. Having trouble deciding whether that's really worth it or not. I don't know that that's worth a flawless maneuver, honestly. Yeah, they could sack over the top of it too, so. Commander goes down. Back to the command zone. Another land. Oh my god. We had to have seen like half the lands in this deck by now. Usability. So 2 nasty enchantments gone. Let's use the yeah, I'm feeling. Use the Bala Ged recovery to get the Swan Song back. That just seems like I don't know what could go wrong. Opponents would really need some stuff. Now we might just get attacked to death. Is a thing that could happen. But get the Swan Song back. Swing into Xeno for 2. Heroic Intervention. More protection. Discard the island. Need to discard 2. Guess we discard the plains. So one thing I'll say about Mono Red is that as someone who plays a lot of Boros, almost all of the equipment tutors are in white, except for Godo, I think. And Flintlock would be in a much better spot if he had an early Sword of the Animist, Dowsing Dagger, or Mask of Memory to his name. Any of those would help him generate a lot of value, or Hearth and Home, also a good one. Deafening Silence is a magic card. He hasn't had those, he's just kind of been on the aggro plan. And this is the point of the game where, like, being on just the aggro plan, you know, he's on, 6 lands? He's made all of his land drops, which is good, but only has 1 card left in hand, you know, if he had drawn a few extra somewhere. And it's not necessarily his fault, right? It's just like, those equipment are great. When you can't tutor for them all the time, sometimes you just don't draw them, right? And that doesn't help you all that much. Oh, yeah, we're getting attacked real hard right here. Real hard. These all flyers? They are all flyers. Ouch. This is going to hurt a little. Now we might need to play the Elish Norn, because this is going to sting. Down to 12. Yeah, we don't have a lot of life left to work with. Somehow Xeno hasn't had to, discard, which is surprising given that he's missed so many lands. It's turn 8. Unholy Grotto getting a zombie back, getting back the Plague Belcher. Actually a little concern. Yeah, that is kind of concerning. Xeno scoops. I told Xeno he could scoop just if he has nothing happening, right? He's on 2 lands on turn 8. Just, there isn't really a way back from that. Dockside Extortionist maybe, but he's in mono blue, so. Yeah, Plague Belcher coming back. Not thrilled about that one. Use the Heuristic Study. What does this one do? Top 7, put a creature card among them onto the battlefield. If it was 3 or less, get some counters on it. It's something. 7 mana's a lot, though. And they're just going to sacrifice the Plague Belcher right away for a bunch of zombies. Yep. Yeah, now we're on the Elish Norn turn. Do need to be careful of that Gravecrawler, though. There are ways that gets us killed. Gaia's Cradle is a magic card. That's a nice land drop to make. Use the Sylvan Library ability. Nature's Lower, 3 visits. Put that on top. Put that on top. Play the Gaia's Cradle. Yeah, just cast Elish Norn. Although, how much is our commander? 7 for our commander. How much mana do we actually have? We have 15 mana. This would be 7 and 7, so we could go. We'll just wait on our commander. Get the Elish Norn. We'll get a little bit. We'd get a little extra with the Cradle. Yeah, I think we can make that work then. Okay, we'll do it this way. Wait, how much white do we have? Is this thing a human? No. Do we play a land yet? We have. We don't have enough white mana to do all this. Oh, the colors. The colors. Okay, let's just skip our commander then. Straight to the Elish Norn. That's an Aura Shards trigger. I'll take down the Jet Medallion. Great Henge. 3 visits. Badly want that shuffle. Use the Aura Shards. 3 visits. Green, and we'll use the Cavern. Get a Forest. Go to combat. 3 into D-Manny, since that is a stronger deck. Though, I mean, Flintlock. Flintlock might be able to just get a bunch of things back and, kill us, which is a concern. But honestly, if that happens, I'll take the loss. I've lost to D-Manny's deck too many times, so he's getting targeted here. Thalia is a magic card. We're out of the... No white mana, though. Once again, no white mana for Lavinia. And a counterspell, which we also cannot cast. Anything we can get in? I don't think so. How much is this? Gives us 4. That'd be 5. Oh, 6, 7. Yeah, we can cast the Turn Temper thingy. Let's do that. Shalai is a magic card. Moving Wall Tracker is also a magic card. Well, those are both good. Those are both very good. We'll go with the Tracker, just in case trouble arises. Aura Shards. Boots. Finale of Devastation. Use the ability. So, at our current pace, we should be able to win the game next turn, because we can get Kamal with this. And that will make everything giant. I think we can discard the Smothering Tithe. I honestly just don't think we need it. Probably don't need the Thalia. Probably don't need this thing either. Ready to give up the Iganjo, honestly. Although, maybe not on the Iganjo. It's too late. It's already gone. Iganjo might be helpful against the Phoenixes attacking us. Wonder if we need to Eternal Witness that one back. Although, if we just win next turn. So we just need to not die. And then Finale for all of the damage. So what's interesting about this game, and, I don't know exactly how it's going to end. I have a pretty good feeling that we're going to win this unless opponents can... they're going to need to make some real big plays. Not saying it can't happen, but the pressure is definitely on. But the thing to consider is that, like, I don't know, we have like 4 of the most powerful Bant enchantments in play. Electro Dominance is probably a start. Any target, you say? Yeah, okay. So we've had Rhystic Study in literally all game, drawn many cards with it, probably like 10 by now. Do we need to counter that? That's a third of our life. I think we need to counter that. If it was shooting a creature, I'd probably let it go, but... the door is open for D-Many. He could wipe the board. He already used his damnation. It's getting... His life's a little low for Deluge. I'm not saying he can't do it, but he almost definitely dies to the red deck if he goes for Toxic Deluge, taking down the Norn. Hits us. Not enough mana for the Phoenix. Yeah, that's for that little bit of value. Couple Sword of the Animus, the Dousing Dagger, any of that stuff. Yeah, let's see what D-Many's got. But yeah, so we've had just like crazy Bant enchantment staples in all game, like to the point where it almost doesn't matter what commander or deck we're playing, right? These cards can basically just carry you to victory, which is a little bit of a shame just because, I wanted to get a better feel on like what Jedit Ojanen's doing. From the little bit that I've seen, it's okay. It's decent. Doesn't seem to blow you away. Does have decent synergy with, anything that cares about creatures coming in, like the Great Henge. That's certainly a thing. Go wide with Toski. Nice little synergy there. Yeah, D-Many scoops it. Okay. Yep. Opponent's at 32. Library. On top. Finale for everything we got, or at least enough to get Kamal. X is 10. Oh, you can go Graveyard also? Wow, that card's crazy. Why'd they have to make the white one so bad? The green one's insane. Where is he? Kamal, Heart of Krosa. Aura Shards. Our things are like 14/14s. Go to combat. Oh, don't forget the trample and the +3/+3. Gotta have that. Send everything. Down he goes. -78. Yeah. So Nate builds strong decks, and because Nate plays in strong settings, you're gonna have strong cards like these, strong enchantments, and this is actually a great time to talk about it. I've been talking about it a lot in recent videos. There are very commonly played enchantments in this game that can absolutely warp the game. I've been starting to reconsider cards like Tempest of Light. There's a green one, what's a Tranquility or something like that. Barrier Breach is one that showed up a few years ago. Being able to get rid of multiple enchantments on the cheap is a big deal. More so than artifacts, right? Because most of the artifacts that get played early in mid-game are just kind of mana ramp, and not to saying that, there is value in blowing those up, but they don't absolutely warp the game usually, unless it's like an early Soul Ring or something. But, this Rhystic Study, we drew at least 10 cards with it. Aura Shards blew up every artifact and enchantment that mattered. And, basically it says that, after a certain point, just your opponents can't ever have artifacts and enchantments if this sticks. The Great Henge is, just the most insane value piece ever created, basically. And none of that stuff got answered. Mono red deck, not a lot of answers. Mono black deck, not a lot of answers to those type of cards. So that's a little bit unfortunate for them, and it kind of shows the weakness of monocolor a little bit, right? You add a second color to any of those, and your ability to deal with problematic enchantments gets much, much better. But yeah, that is why I'm very seriously starting to run more things like Tempest of Light, giving that a little bit of time of day. Dismantling Wave is a very solid piece for white decks, because that's artifacts or enchantments, and 3 mana for 3 targets, very good rate. Occasionally, you need the 8 mana mode on it. As far as the monocolor decks, honestly, with all the treasure mana floating around now, Ugin is a great option because it gets rid of all the enchantments. When you're in monocolor, you do tend to run more artifacts, so it doesn't hit your artifacts. And if you're producing mana the way that you should be in a game, you should be able to get to Ugin, right? Even on his last turn, if Flintlock was able to drop an Ugin right there, that cleans us out pretty good. It kills all of our value, and then we're just left with what's in hand. And, we had mostly reactive stuff in hand. So, we weren't exactly going to rebuild with, a giant board state right away. Given a few turns, we might, just because this thing spits out tokens, But yeah, Ugin and all his dust, and, all of the supporting mana-producing cards to get to those things nice and quick. Those would have helped our opponents out a lot, and those are also things that I'm starting to kind of come back to. I had stopped running them for a while because the focus on everything was, get faster and more efficient, and everything's got to be cheaper, and now it's wait a second, this red deck is really soft to enchantments. So I've been kind of pulling back on some of that a little bit, especially with all the treasure production that's out there now. Anyway, that's kind of a long tangent right there. Thoughts on the deck. Like I said, we saw the most powerful enchantments in the deck, which propelled us to victory very quickly. My thoughts on Jedit itself, it's decent. Doesn't seem like it blows you away with power. Seems very fair for a Bant commander. Honestly, the things that are missing in this deck, if this were my deck personally, I would probably be running Cathar's Crusade and all of the token doublers. That's just the thing that I personally would be doing. Even like, I mean, a teleportation circle wouldn't be awful. Conjurer's Closet, you blink it at the end step and then pay another green and get another one. Doesn't seem terrible. That's probably how I would build it. But Nate has a very specific style that they like, and you know, like, this list is clearly not haphazardly put together, right? Nate knew what they were doing when they put it together. So yeah, it's a very tight list. I was surprised about how many lands we drew given the low 31 land count. There's a couple like legendary and flip lands and stuff like that, but still. I feel like we did draw fairly awkwardly this game in that there's 31 creatures and it just felt like we never had that many creatures, so that seemed a little strange. I would say, honestly, maybe we could go up a couple creatures, maybe go to about 35, and it might help with some of that, but just depends on where you're playing. Sometimes you just need more interaction, but anyway, it's a cool little commander. Yeah, I think in terms of overall commander power, I don't think it's the most busted thing out there. It is definitely like kind of a middle of the pack, very fair-ish type of commander, so I can appreciate all of that. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching.
I want to thank my awesome Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. If you want to help support the channel, vote on which decks I play next, or if you want to get some good games of Spell Table, be sure to check out my Patreon at the link below.